what is our trouble? That's what I want to know.
Our trouble is Miss Damien.
Miss Damien again.
She's as pretty as a picture and as stubborn as a mule. But this time, there's a lot more involved than just her opinion.
Come in, Miss Damien.
We were just ripping you up the back a little bit.
So I gathered.
There's nothing personal. It's about Mr. Cortland.
Cortland? Oh, yes. He runs a jewelry store.
He owns Cortland and Company. London, Paris, Fifth Avenue. You may remember him as one of our biggest advertisers.
Oh, what Shirley wants to say.
I know what Shirley wants to say. I always know what Shirley wants to say. He wants to know why I killed the art layout on Mr. Cortland's famous jewels.
And I understand the April number goes to press without it.
That's right. In the first place, it's no art layout. It's a press agent's dream.
But the result is we stand a good chance of losing the Cortland account.
Now, am I running my department or am I not?
I haven't said anything, Miss Damien.
Well, I had a talk with Cortland, and he was decidedly acid about it.
I'm not interested in Cortland. But if this magazine is going to submit to advertisers' blackmail, I'd like to know about it.
Now, please, Miss Damien.
If that's the policy, Mr. Kranich, you better get someone else to take my place.
Please, Miss Damien, just a moment. Gentlemen, if you don't mind, I'll talk to you later.
I thought I should bring this to your attention.
You can't blame us for trying, Mr.
No, of course not. No harm done, gentlemen. Madeline, you've got yourself all worked up. Come sit down. I'll get you a drink.
No, thanks. I don't want one.
No? What is this private blackmail of yours? Threatening to quit in order to win an argument.
Oh, I'd just as soon quit. I mean it.
Now, tell me, what's happened? You're all wound up. What's bothering
Oh,
you?
nothing's bothering me.
You know I don't want you to quit. I won't go into my personal feelings, but you are the best art editor we've ever had. How's the insomnia?
Oh, I found some new sleeping pills. Red ones this time.
Red pills to put you to sleep. White pills to wake you up. Doesn't sound very sensible, my dear. What are you doing this evening?
Dining with Freddie Fancher.
Oh, Freddie again.
Oh, I couldn't get out of it, Victor. We're using some of his drawings next month. But it'll be the last time, I promise.
Madeline, you're a bundle of lies. A very lovely bundle. Beautifully tied together.
I'm trying to be honest, but you won't believe me, will you?
No, my dear. Because I don't really think you believe yourself.
Why do you have to go back to that bore, Freddie Fancher? You haven't even given me a chance to make love to you.
You've been doing all right.
You know something? It's awfully hard making love to a woman who makes more money than I do. It'd be much easier if you made love to me.
Would it?
Oh. You're trying to give me the brush off, are you?
Well, finally, we understand each other.
Well, there you are, Freddie. There's your girl and no bones broken. I'll see you at the office, Madeline. I'd join you if somebody asked me.
Nobody's asking.
Fair enough.
Why do you have to dance with that pollywog?
Look, I've told you not to drink.
I always drink, particularly when I'm with you.
Oh, am I that hard to take sober?
You're a voluptuous pain in the neck.
I'm going home.
You're not going to walk out on me. Come on, be yourself.
I've told you I'm going to leave early.
But you can't leave me just sitting here in the snow. I'm mad about you. In my own foul way.
Good night, Freddie. Any chance of getting a cab, Jim?
I'll try, Miss Damien.
Oh, Miss Damien, here's someone I know you're anxious to meet. Mr. Felix Cortland, one of our most prominent advertisers.
How do you do, Miss Damien?
How do you do? Mr. Garrett is the soul of tact, don't you think?
He's just been telling me all about you.
Oh, I hope he wasn't that blunt.
Oh, you needn't worry. I always form my own conclusions. Can I give you a lift anywhere? My car's just outside.
No, thank you. They're getting me a cab.
Oh, I'm very sorry.
I'm sorry, Miss Damien. There isn't a cab around.
Oh, how long do you think it'll be?
That's hard to say.
Are you sure you don't want to lift?
Well, there doesn't seem to be any alternative.
Good night, Mr. Garrett.
Good night, Mr. Cortland.
I wasn't very polite, was I?
Neither was Garrett, for that matter.
Oh, he always enjoys uncomfortable situations.
You still feel uncomfortable?
No. Frankly, I don't.
Good, nor do I.
You know, you're not at all what I imagined.
No?
No. The big international jeweler.
I happen to inherit a business that runs itself very nicely. As a matter of fact, you don't look like an art editor. More like a work of art.
That layout on your jewels is still a wretched piece of copy.
I can only admire your good taste.
And I'm still not going to print it.
I wouldn't try and persuade you for the world.
Mr. Cortland, I think you're a very dangerous man.
I only wish it were so. The truth is, I'm a very ordinary one.
Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot to give you my address.
It's my fault. I forgot to ask you. Won't you come in for a minute?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, but you really must see those jewels you've been insulting. They're much handsomer than the photographs. I'll need you in about 15 minutes.
But I said I wasn't coming in.
Oh, yes, so you did. Let me take your wrap.
Well, I'm only going to stay a minute here.
Of course.
What a wonderful room.
I've had this place a long time. In fact, I'm pretty disgustingly rich.
Don't you find that rather pleasant?
Oh, it's not so hard to take once you get the hang of it. I think I know all the troubles that come with money. And all the pleasures. Well, have you got me all figured out?
Only what I see here. Good books, fine pictures. Wonder if you ever look at them.
Oh, but I do. I'm a lonely bachelor, and I spend hours here all by myself poring over old manuscripts.
You don't expect me to believe that, do you? Didn't my father paint that?
Was Stephen Damien your father?
Uh-huh.
That's very interesting.
Is it?
I remember when he came here to paint that picture of my mother. Everybody was fascinated by him, especially Mother. Father ended by chasing him out of the house.
I'm afraid that's the way it usually ended. My father was very much in love with life.
That's a Hungarian custom, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Not exclusively Hungarian.
Weren't you going to show me your jewels?
Oh, yes, of course. I'd quite forgotten. That's the reason we came in here, wasn't it? You ought to feel very flattered, Miss Damien. This safe is one of my darkest secrets. You really want to see those jewels?
Not particularly. I can't tell a brilliant from a diamond.
Not one person in 100 can. But then very few people are intelligent enough to admit it.
Thank you.
How about another drink?
No, thanks.
You know, you need relaxing. Lots of relaxing. I can hear your nerves snapping like rubber bands.
I'm not nervous at all, see?
You're a very curious mixture. A highly moral voice.
That's not me, that's my mind.
A man's mind, I'd say.
Why not? I do a man's work.
And desperate eyes. Eyes full of shadows.
Insomnia does that.
Does it?
Anything doing? Not a thing. You know, it's getting me down eating in these hamburger joints.
One thing you gotta learn, eat where the truck drivers eat. They know the right spot.
Say, I saw a funny thing up the road just now. Good-looking dame sitting in a car all alone.
Yeah, what was she doing?
That's just it. She wasn't doing nothing, just sitting there.
I got a rule about women. If they ain't breaking the law, let them alone. Didn't mean to disturb you, miss. Just wanted to be sure everything was okay. Excuse me, lady, but are you sure you're all right? How is she?
Luckier than she deserves.
I just checked on her up the road. She was acting kind of strange then. I'd better call that ambulance.
I doubt if it's serious, and I'm as good a doctor as you'll find at this time of night. Let's take her inside. Well, no bones broken. Bruises, that's all. I think you better rest here for the night. I'm a little surprised. You're a beautiful young woman. You've been in an accident. You haven't asked for a mirror. Perhaps that fits with the way you were driving tonight. Perhaps you find the idea of living not very attractive.
Is that any of your business, Doctor?
As a matter of fact, it is my business. I happen to be a psychiatrist.
I don't need a psychiatrist.
You won't mind if I disagree with you. Here's a beautiful young woman, apparently well-to-do, apparently in good physical condition, who just doesn't care what happens to her. This is interesting. Not altogether unusual, but interesting. Of course, there are the obvious deductions.
It's my life, Doctor, and I prefer to run it myself.
And you don't want anyone to see inside it. Perhaps you don't even want to take a look yourself. Many women haven't the courage to face themselves, so they look for escape in one excitement after another. Half my patients are like that.
But I'm not one of your patients. If you tell me how much I owe you, I'll be going back to town now.
Very well. I'll drive you to the station. Miss Damien, you're an intelligent woman, not an idiot. Will you promise me one thing? When you get ready to throw yourself off Brooklyn Bridge, will you come and see me first?
Goodbye, Doctor.
Dean. Miss Damien, I'll give you her secretary.
Miss Damien's office? No, Mr. Cortland, she's not here yet. Shall I have her call you? Yes, Mr. Cortland.
Where's Lamarr, puss?
She hasn't come in yet.
Well, who sent these?
Mr. Felix Cortland.
Mr. Cortland. That's very interesting. She never misses, does she?
Mm-hmm. Jealous.
If I'd given it any thought, I could have predicted it.
Gladys, I won my bet. She's got a new boyfriend.
I guess those dames gotta have new excitement all the time.
Yeah, here today, gone tomorrow. Personally, I don't see what she sees in it all.
Is that any concern of yours?
No, Miss Damien.
I didn't hire you to gossip about my private life.
No, Miss Damien.
Go get your money. You're through.
Damien, come in yet? What's the matter, sweetheart?
Miss Damien fired me.
Fired you? What for?
He heard me talking about Mr. Cortland.
Cortland, eh? Don't you worry, baby. I'll fix that. Understand you fired June.
That's right.
What's the idea?
I don't like people to gossip about me.
You don't, eh?
No, I don't.
Well, it's pretty late to be thinking about a thing like that, and it's a rotten trick to take it out on your secretary.
Get out of here.
You don't think your life is a secret, do you? Boys were betting 8-5 this morning that the Cortland layout would be in the next issue.
You're disgusting.
Madeline, why don't you get wise to yourself? Everybody else is. One romance after another. That's your whole life, and you adore it.
Get out.
You try to dress it up with pretty words, but you don't fool anybody. They know what you are, and you'll never change.
Get out!
You don't care because it's too much fun.
It isn't true. It isn't true.
I'm a little surprised. Here's a beautiful woman who just doesn't care what happens to her. Many women haven't the courage to face themselves, so they look for escape in one excitement after another. Perhaps you find the idea of living not very attractive.
Lady, if you want to kill yourself, why don't you try the fridge?
I'm glad I was right. An intelligent woman, not an idiot. Sit down here. That's it. Now, if you feel like talking, just go ahead and talk. You're afraid, aren't you? Well, it's our job to find out why. To explore the shadows and throw light on what we find there. Then you'll be able to see yourself clearly and face yourself honestly. When you can do that, you won't be afraid anymore.
I was living with my father. Mother had left him before we came to America. I was 10. And to me, the way he lived seemed romantic and wonderful. He was a successful painter, and women adored him. He went his own way and did what he pleased.
Just as you've been trying to do?
I suppose so.
But why? Did it make him so very happy?
Oh, I was certain he was the happiest man in the world. Until he killed himself.
Then you couldn't understand why he did it. You understand now?
I think I do.
Did you ever do any painting yourself?
I used to.
Why'd you give it up?
Oh, didn't pay enough. And besides, I didn't want to be like my father. I wanted my own life.
And have you been living your own life?
Of course I have.
The kind of life you really want?
I don't know. I don't know.
Don't you think you've been hiding from yourself? Did you ever try and discover the person you really were, deep down underneath?
I never cared to. I'm not so sure I do now.
In that case, I'm afraid I can't help you. But of course, that's entirely up to you. Shall we go on, then?
I was doing what I wanted to do. Paying my own way and making my own rules. And nobody was hurt.
Nobody but yourself. And it didn't really make you happy, did it? Wasn't that because down underneath you knew there was something missing? Something important?
I suppose so.
That would worry you, wouldn't it? And then you would drug yourself with the excitement of more excitement. Oh, I know the pattern, Miss Damien. You're suffering from a disease of the times. A neurotic malady as commonplace as chronic alcoholism. Suppose for a moment that you were an alcoholic. They're much the same, you know. Unsure of themselves underneath and seeking reassurance from new excitement. Instead of getting at the cause, the drunkard solves his problem by taking another drink. This, of course, is no solution. And eventually we find him sprawled hopelessly at a bar, without the strength or even the desire to save himself.
I can't go on with this. You're not helping me. You're insulting me.
You've been insulting yourself, Miss Damien. Insulting your body and insulting your soul. Your life hasn't been gay and glamorous at all. It's just been muddled and senseless. You know that now. And if you really want to change it, you can start right away. Now it's up to you.
You can have my apartment, Ethel. The rent's paid till the end of the month.
Darling, I feel like a vulture wheeling over your head.
I'm not in, whoever it is.
Miss Damien's office. No, she still hasn't come in, Mr. Cortland. Well, I don't know exactly. Later in the day,
Did he hang up?
Yes, good. Let me call him back, darling. You may be sorry later.
Everything in this pile returned without comment. This I would ask to see more of their work, and these you may be able to use.
But you haven't given me your new address.
I'm not giving it to anyone.
Hello, Madeline. Beautiful, would you mind popping out for a minute?
That's just 60 seconds. You better talk fast.
Madeline, I'm on a jam. I've got to raise some money. I need about $5,000.
What do you expect me to do about it?
Well, I thought you might talk to Cortland. I'm sure he'd let you have it if you ask him nicely.
You're really quite a rat, aren't you?
Look, Madeline, I'm in debt up to here. I only make $100 a week, and you know I can't live on that. $5,000 doesn't mean a thing to Cortland.
You better get out of here before I lose my temper.
You're forcing me to say things that I don't want to say, but if you're going to act cold and virtuous about it, you'll hear them. Suppose I tell Cranish.
Tell him what?
About Cortland. You know, you've got a very nice job here, but you won't have it very long if I tell Cranish. I don't want to tell him, but... What's so funny?
As a blackmailer, you are pitiful. Go on, tell him. Tell him what a rat I am, and you are, and he is. Go on, use my phone if you want, and my desk, and my office. I'm through with all of them.
Boulevard Magazine. No, Miss Damien hasn't been back. Just a moment, please.
I'm sorry, she doesn't work here anymore. You might try at her home. Waldorf Apartments.
Waldorf Apartments? Miss Damien? Oh, no, she gave up her apartment. Why don't you try the post office?
Dahlgren? Dalton? Damien. Care of Richard Caleb, 137 West 50th Street.
Well, I've nothing to tell you except that Miss Damien has taken my advice as a doctor. She'd been living in an area of infection, and she's removed herself from it.
I take it you consider me part of the general contamination.
Now, you've come here for information, not diagnosis. I usually charge a fee for insulting people.
I'm willing to pay for data of any kind.
Yes, I gathered that. But I have nothing for sale.
I suppose you're being very ethical, but I'd like to talk to Madeline. In your presence, if you wish.
Miss Damien is living under a different name in a different world. She told me to tell you, if you inquired, that she was busy growing a new soul. Now, would you please keep off the grass? Goodbye, Mr. Cortland.
Bye, Doctor. Doesn't it ever worry you, playing the Almighty in this fashion?
Not particularly. I'm used to it.
How's it look? It's better than torn wallpaper.
So you think I've talent, then?
Well, you'll do better after you get the hang of it.
I only hope the new tenant will like it.
Well, he seems awful particular. He's a floor walker at Macy's.
Oh. Well, you can always give it back to me.
You'll never sell it, you know. Take my advice and try something more cheerful. You know, like flowers and butterflies.
I'll do that. Thank you, Mrs. Geiger.
Thanks. You saved my life.
Is this yours?
Yes. Mrs. Geiger would scalp me if she knew I kept mice in my room.
Well, why do you keep mice in your room?
Pathologist, part of my homework. I really shouldn't bring these fellas out of the lab, but, well, I got kind of attached to this one. Oh, thanks again.
Hey, women are supposed to scream. Aren't you afraid of mice?
Well, no, but next time I'll scream. Good afternoon, Miss Green.
Hello, how's the work going?
Oh, all right.
You bet.
Come in.
Hello.
Hello.
So you're an artist, aren't you?
Well, I don't know.
Oh, Mrs. Geiger said yesterday that you were. She's an authority if I ever saw one. I was wondering, could you do a job for me?
Want your portrait painted?
For me? Oh, no. No, nothing like that. I'm doing some research, and it has to be illustrated.
Oh, what do you want me to draw?
Nothing fancy, just blood cells and things.
Sounds fascinating.
Oh, it is, really. You see, it's a lot like... Oh, no, you'd be surprised. It really is fascinating once you get in it. Of course, I'm on a fellowship, and I couldn't pay you very much. Matter of fact, I couldn't pay anything till the first of the month.
That'll be all right.
Oh, fine. Swell. It's all settled then. I'll see you at my place about 6 o'clock.
Oh, but couldn't I...
Oh, sure you can. I just live downstairs. You know, the mousetrap. Oh, by the way, my name is Cousins.
Mine is Dixon.
Very glad to know you, Miss Dixon.
Just what am I drawing? Am I allowed to find out?
Sure. Effect of anti-reticular serum on cell tissue.
That's all I wanted to know.
Oh, say, that's quite good. I'll take it to the lab with me in the morning. Just about ready for the next one.
Do you realize it's 12 o'clock?
Oh?
I haven't had my dinner yet, and you haven't either.
Oh, gosh, I'm sorry, but well, I got so wound up on this.
So did I, but now I'm hungry.
Well, tell you what let's do. We'll go out and eat.
That's a brilliant idea.
I'll get your coat.
Do you do this all the time?
Only since I got out of the Army. I was lucky to get this job of research. Now I've got to get it finished.
Then what?
Oh, then I go back to Oregon and become the usual respectable small-town doctor.
No mice?
No. No mice. Head colds and belly aches. $5 a visit.
Maybe you'll like it. You'll get some rest.
Oh, I'll get plenty of rest, all right, but I don't think I'll like it.
You folks going out this time of night?
That's right.
We're meeting a few friends at the Busy Bee cafeteria. We don't want to miss the floor show. We'll have to hurry.
See that he eats. He hasn't got any more sense than a goose.
I'll feed him with a spoon.
Got onto it first up in a little town in Germany while I was still in the Army. I met a couple of Russian medical officers who were working on anti-reticular, and well, they were pretty steamed up about it.
Pie, sir?
No, thanks. We got together the first night over a bottle of vodka. I remember the town was still burning. Well, maybe it was the vodka, but anyhow, we got to talking about anti-reticular, and, well, I guess I got pretty excited.
You mean you speak Russian?
Over a bottle of vodka, anybody speaks Russian. You have some coffee?
No, thanks, I've milk.
Oh, one, please. At any rate, I promised myself that night that just as soon as the war was over, I was going to do a job of this.
You haven't stopped to eat ever since.
That's an error I'm just about to rectify.
$1 even.
There you are.
Thank you.
Thank you. You, sure you've got everything you want?
Oh, yes, thanks. You know, I don't think you're much of a doctor. Do you call this a sensible diet? Pancakes and pickles?
Well, scientifically, there's two kinds of diets. The kind that doctors prescribe and the stuff they eat themselves.
Oh, but you're always in such a rush. You can't make scientific discoveries that way.
Sure you can. Take Benny. He saw some flies nibbling at a piece of pancreas. Figured out that there must be sugar in it, and 1 minute he had the idea for insulin. You know, you're a very lovely girl.
You're not being very scientific, Doctor.
Oh, but I am. It's the very heart of science. It's the truth.
Let's talk about insulin.
Thanks a lot.
Come in.
Hello.
Hello. Say, did you buy these new manuscript covers?
Yes, are they all right?
Oh, sure, they're fine. How much they cost?
Oh, nothing at all. Something like 20 cents.
Oh, nothing at all, huh? You know you can buy a pair of good mice for 20 cents?
David, I have some wonderful news. I just sold a picture.
No fooling. Who bought it?
The floor walker downstairs. He said it's almost as good as a photograph.
Well, the man has great taste. Oh, I think it's wonderful. I'm proud of you. And I'm a little proud of myself, too. David Cousins on anti-reticular.
Oh, David, it looks fine. It's important, isn't it? I mean, not just to you, but really important.
Well, it won't cure all the ills of man or beast, but... Yes. Yes, I think it may be important. And I also think that I better hand it in before I start changing it again. Like to come along?
Oh, could I?
Well, sure. Why not? I think you've been drawing blood cells long enough. It's time now for you to meet one of them face to face.
I hope your text is as good as your illustrations.
I hope so, too, sir. Well, that's that.
You didn't tell him there were your drawings, did you?
I didn't tell him they weren't. Come on, I'll show you my lab.
Coffee.
I wouldn't try and drink it if I were you. Assistant pathologist. Well, this is me. How do you like it?
Oh, I think it's wonderful. But how do you find anything in this place?
Been here for 6 months and I haven't lost anything yet. Doesn't matter anyway. If the boss okays my research, I'll be out of here in a week.
Back to Oregon?
Yes, back to Oregon. All that way just to make a living.
Is it as bad as all that?
Oh, what's the use in kidding, Madeline? I'm so much in love with you, I can't see straight. I haven't done any work in here for days. I just sit around waiting until I can see you.
I know. Because that's just what I do. Wait to see you.
Darling. Oh, darling, I never felt like this about anyone before. Tell me, when did you first know?
Oh, when I first saw you, I think.
Yeah, me too. I'll never forget you standing in that hall with a mouse in your hand. Only I didn't know then what was happening. I thought I had the flu. Will you marry me?
Oh, David.
Well, will you?
We don't know each other. I mean, you don't know me.
Oh, but I do. Of course I know you. Now, what do you want to know about me? David Cousins, M.D., University of Oregon, Captain Medical Corps Reserve, young, healthy, and very much in love. Will you marry me?
Oh, please don't ask me now.
Well, I've got to ask you now. I want to marry you now.
Please give me time, David. I'm all mixed up. I'd like to go home now.
All right.
Madeline.
You haven't answered a rather important question I asked you.
I can't say no, because I wouldn't mean it.
Darling.
David, I do love you. Good night, darling.
Good night.
Hadn't you better close the door? A gentleman I hired provided me with your new address and the proper keys.
Suppose someone had seen you. You wouldn't have cared, would you?
I didn't think it mattered. You see, I expected to find you wretched and lonely, grappling with your complexes. Rather naive of me.
Will you please go?
Of course I'll go. But before I do, wouldn't you like to tell me about him?
Why? I'm in love. Now, laugh if you want.
I don't feel like laughing. I've always wondered if it were possible for people like you and me. And you think you've really got it? Love eternal, the fireside, the slippers, the whole thing?
Yes, the whole thing.
I'm very glad for you. And I think I'm a little sad for myself. You haven't told him, have you?
Told him what?
Well, about me, for instance.
Why should I tell him?
You're absolutely right. You shouldn't. Men prefer to keep their illusions, don't they?
Please go.
If you ever need me, you'll let me know, won't you? And don't call the past too many names.
I don't care what you say. I'm going to marry him just as soon as it can be arranged.
You want to run away from your problem?
I'm not running away.
You are, you know. You're looking for security from someone else instead of building it within yourself.
But I